Max, we have an imposter to investigate. This and this are pretending to be the same person. They're not.
Do you smell a difference?
We're investigating identity theft today. This, same, different. This, same, different.
You always fall asleep on the job, dude.
Welcome to today's episode of Michel Investigates, where we are investigating beauty products from the US that are formulated differently than the exact same beauty products from Europe. Apparently the US ban list for cosmetics in 2025 is, 11 ingredients. Do you know what the European ban list is in 2025? Just about 1,700. I shipped overseas to get the exact same product from the US and from Europe. And today we are going to be testing and investigating 4 different products. Let me introduce you to our culprits. First, Sol de Janeiro, a brand I really like, the Brazilian Play Body Wash. Different formulations in the US and Europe. Nuetrogena Hydro Boost Cleanser. Different ingredients, very different packaging too. Low key, lots different here. Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray, something I use every single day. And last but not least, Benefit Cosmetics Bad Girl Bang Mascara. Why don't they just make everything with the high standards? I actually haven't found that out yet, so we're gonna find it out together in live time. I am curious. So let's get into our investigation. Let's take a look at our very first culprit, mascara. Our Benefit Bangin' Lashes Mascara. From Europe, I ordered this. This is a full size and a mini, all in one. From America, I ordered just the mini. This was from Amazon. This is from a website called Look Fantastic. Some things you can ship directly to the US. So I had some things from Look Fantastic shipped directly to me. Other things you cannot ship directly to the US. Side note, so I shipped a couple things to my friend in Ireland. She couldn't ship from there, so she gave it to her friend in a different country. Her friend shipped to me. Anywho, that's how I procured this guy right here. Time to test our mascaras. I'm actually filming this in the morning before I even start filming this video because I want to see by the end of the day when I finish filming this video how the wear test compares to each one. In this video, one thing I'm going to do is try all of the American things on the right side of my body, just to remember because my right side is my dominant side and I dominantly live in America. You gotta do what you gotta do to remember, you know, in the name of science. The name differences between these formulations. The American formulation has an ingredient in it called nylon 12. Apparently this is usually used for texture. It gives like more of like a silky smooth kind of texture. So I'm interested to see if we feel that difference in the application of it. Second, the American one has a preservative in it that the European one does not. It's called BHT. This is an antioxidant preservative, but it's apparently somewhat controversial. It's banned in a lot of places. On the ingredient list for the American one, there's just more pigments listed. That doesn't necessarily mean this has all additional pigments that the European doesn't. Maybe it just means that within this formulation, there are more shade range options that fall under that exact same formulation. Maybe Americans are lazier and instead of listing out each individual shade's ingredients, it's like, if you buy any of these shades, like here's generally the ingredients. I don't know. I don't write ingredients for a living. And then there's one additional thing on the American one that is not on the European one. It's like in small 01153A. It's probably like a region code, a batch code, a shade code, some sort of code to basically know some information about it if you are in the manufacturing side of things. So I don't think that that is an ingredient, but it is listed on the American and it's not listed on the European. So with that in mind, let's get you all up close and personal. I will say there might be a slight unfair advantage to the American being on my dominant side because it's a little bit easier for me to apply. The wands look pretty identical, which the wand actually determines so much of the application for me. All right, enough chit chat. Come in closer, tiny dancer. I already do have eyeliner on for the day. First few passes. Slow and steady wins the race with mascara. Wow, actually, I don't hate this. I'm actually kind of impressed. Sorry, we're not here to review. We're here to investigate. Wow, if this wears well, I'm really actually impressed with this. Let's see how this compares to our European side. I apply on the left side weird. I flip my hand. I feel like this might be in my head, but I do feel like I'm having to fight it a little more to not clump. Perhaps the nylon makes a difference in that. I'm shaking the eyelashes to try to get them to stay apart, but I feel like there's a little more separation in the American side than the European side. But also, remember, right side has home court advantage. Oh, that's how I can remember American. Home court advantage. Okay, so we have American, European. Not super different, except I actually do think, I don't think it's placebo. I don't think I'm making it up that this side wanted to clump a little bit more. This side, I was actually surprised at how effortless it was to keep the lashes separated. I don't know if nylon as an ingredient makes a difference in that regard, but I am impressed. It has been a few hours. Here's the American side. The European side. I feel like they have worn very similarly. I don't see a lot of fallout. I don't really see any smudging. They've both done a pretty good job thus far. Sometimes what I like to do is give a secondary curl through the middle of the day and see how my eyelashes hold a secondary curl. Let's start with the American side. Oh yeah, that held a secondary curl. See how it lifts it up a little bit more? The European side. Doing this without a mirror feels pretty sketchy. Okay, they both did a pretty good job. Honestly, I like this mascara, and that's not the point of this video. Our next culprit, I'm actually pretty fascinated by this because both of these are the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Cleanser. These are pretty different. I feel like they are intended to be the same thing, the Hydro Boost Gel Cleanser. Hydrating gel cleanser, water gel cleanser, slightly different words, slightly different verbiage. Packaging, so different. This is the European packaging. This is the American packaging. A lot about it, side by side, is pretty different. Even the way that they describe it. So the water gel cleanser from Europe says gently cleanses to remove excess makeup and dirt, clinically proven to increase skin's hydration, and it says in the front hyaluronic acid. The US version, the Hydro Boost with hyaluronic acid hydrating gel cleanser says gently cleanses to effectively remove dirt, oil, and makeup. This says makeup and dirt. It's saying the same thing, just different. Something else that's really interesting when you look at the back. None of these were made where they're being sold. The American version says made in Canada. The European version says made in Greece. This is probably our most different of all of our products, which makes me so excited to try it. Let's take a deeper dive look into the ingredients of the European versus the American versions of these, because the European one has some things that the American one doesn't. First of all, there's a preservative in here. Are we gonna try to say things? I don't think we should try. I'll try one. Phenoxyethanol. Basically, this is a preservative. It does have some restrictions in Europe. It's not allowed to be more than 1%, but it is in the European formulation of this, so I assume it's less than 1%. Legally, kind of has to be. Also, there's a hydrogenated castor oil in the European version. It's called PEG40. This is an emulsifier and a surfactant, so that's gonna just help kind of get makeup emulsified and cleaned off of the skin. Also, there's a coconut acid in the European version, which is not in the American version. I like the sound of that. It's a fatty acid. It's helpful in cleaning things. And then lastly, there's 2 forms of vitamin E. In the European version, they're listed differently, but vitamin E is basically an antioxidant that you can find in skincare products a lot. Okay, the US version, both of these have something called sodium hydrolyzed potato starch. It's higher up on the list in the US version, which is interesting. So it just might be a little bit more of the percentage of the overall formulation. There's also a conditioning agent called polyquaternium. Both of these are allowed, but for some reason it's not on the European version, and I don't know why. And then also some fragrance related ingredients are just kind of under the umbrella of fragrance or perfume. That can be literally hundreds of different compounds. So the fragrance could also vary in each of these. It is just listed as fragrance on the US version. And actually fragrance is not listed as fragrance on the European version, which is really interesting. I'm gonna do a little smell test. Wow, this smells exactly, this is incredibly fragrance, super fragrance. This smells exactly how I remember my childhood conditioner smelling, which I think was like Pantene. That has a strong smell. Let's try the European version. Oh, actually a very, very, very similar smell. Maybe it's just the shock isn't as strong the second time around, but it doesn't hit me in the face quite as much as the first one, but it smells pretty identical. So why is fragrance not listed on here? Oh, there it is, perfume. That's 16 up from the bottom. Let's see where fragrance is up from the bottom here. 9. Oh, fragrance is 9 up from the bottom here on the US. Interesting. Overall, it does seem like there are more ingredients in the European one, which feels counterintuitive to me. I would assume that the European versions of things would be way more stripped down. We're going to do a couple tests of this where we're gonna put some makeup on our hands, try to wash them off with each, see if there's any difference. Let's get into the test part of today. I'm gonna put this on both hands. The American side got more. Lip gloss. And waterproof eyeliner. Now, these are not advertised as makeup removers necessarily, but it says it effectively removes oil, dirt, and makeup. First, the US version on the right hand. Wow. I fear those aren't budging. Not even the lip stuff? Okay, let's activate with water. Wow. Okay, there's the US side. Here goes the European formulation. I feel like I got the lipstick a little faster, but let's activate with water. Wow. Okay, American, European. Does not stand a chance against the waterproof eyeliner. Did a better job on the lipstick on the European, and they did comparable jobs on the mascara. It's very interesting. Here's where our investigation takes a turn. And this is why this is a real live time investigation. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty disappointed. I jumped through a lot of hoops. I've been working on this video and trying to procure all these and find different products that are formulated differently in the US versus EU for a month and a half. Something very interesting just happened. I ordered this European product from lookfantastic.com. On their website, they have the full ingredient list listed here. Then, when I'm opening these products to start filming, I say, let's compare these. What do you know? The box ingredient list is different from the website. In fact, the box ingredient list is the American ingredient list. Obviously, these two look a little bit different because one is a travel size, one is a full size, but this was from the European website. This was from the American website. So according to the European website, there was supposed to be something in it called limonene, which after a little bit of research is basically citrus peel oil. Something else in it, which is basically rose or geranium oil, so like essential oils. Also something called benzyl alcohol, which this is like a solvent. I think that this helps possibly hold the fragrance oils, dissolve the fragrance oils. None of that is listed on here. There is just a general perfume fragrance. They were both supposed to have basically antioxidants within it that work as a preservative. The American list had this crazy long name. Penta, erythritol, butyl hydroxyhydrocannabinamide. And the European one had VHT. I'm wondering what happened here, because guess what? It happened twice. When I went on Sephora.com versus lookfantastic.com, such different ingredient lists, the ways it was supposed to differ, the order of the surfactants were in opposite orders, meaning like the general weight and the amount of each one was different. The American one had glycerin listed, the European one did not. The European one had sodium phytate listed, the American one did not. The European one had magnesium sulfate, sorbic acid, colorants like yellow 5, the American one did not. So I was expecting these to be pretty different. Tell me why I ordered and had this shipped from Europe to America and the American version showed up at my door. Why do we get the slop? Why do we get the bottom of the barrel? Why do we not get access to the stricter regulations of these formulations if we go out of our way and we pay insane shipping to try to get it here? I have more questions too. Let's dive into my other questions. Investigation side quest number 1. Why did I still receive American products? My first thought was, did this ship from a US warehouse? So first I thought, okay, Sephora and the Look Fantastic websites are like almost identical. Is Sephora and Look Fantastic affiliated in any way, shape, or form? No. They're not. But who owns Look Fantastic? The Hut Group. Do you remember the last Michel Investigates when we deep dived into the death of subscription boxes? One subscription box that has recently died in the US, but is still alive in Europe, is Glossybox. Do you know who owns Glossybox? The Hut Group. Does Look Fantastic have any US warehouses? No. Does the Hut Group have any US warehouses? Yes. So then I found there's this website. There's this website called checkcosmetics.net where you can put this tiny little code. Can you see that imprinted? It's not in a color, it's just almost like embossed into this website. So I put the European version of this 30Y709, brand Urban Decay. This was made July 2024. I searched, did Urban Decay have any reformulations 2024 for their European formulation of the all-nighter setting spray? Come to find out, no, they haven't reformulated. It should say all of these essential oils that we talked about earlier, the limonelle, the citronelle, whatever. Forget what they were exactly, but you get it. Now there is a chance the Looks Fantastic website has an error, whether it's like a very old formulation or just, mislabeled some things from it. So I don't know why the ingredients on the website are different than the ingredients I received in the mail. This investigation just really keeps getting more and more confusing to me. Investigation side quest number 2. Why don't companies just sell the stricter and arguably better, cleaner, safer European formulations in the US as well? Why bother with all the hassle of making one version for Europe and another lesser version for America? I can't tell you for certain, but here's some things that I found when doing a little bit of research. First, a lot of it comes down to the dollar bills, baby. If they can get away with putting some ingredients in the US products that aren't allowed in Europe, oftentimes these can be cheaper ingredients. They can be filler ingredients. They can be preservatives that increase the shelf life of said products. So they are less likely to have to throw away something because, oops, it's expired, or oops, it's expiring very soon. Dang it, we deserve better. Obviously, shelf life aside, higher quality ingredients will also cost more money. So perhaps if there's a fragrance that's banned in the US and they have to use essential oil to achieve a similar scent in Europe, maybe that cost of fragrance is 2 or 3x what they could put in the US. So even if it doesn't necessarily affect the shelf life of it, the cost is greater, the profit margin is less. Also, I didn't know this, apparently Europe also has stricter marketing regulations. I'm not surprised. The US, you can get away with saying a little bit more clinically proven, dermatologist recommended. These types of statements might not have the same regulations as Europe. In Europe, they might have to back that up a little bit more with actual research, clinical trials. So because of that, apparently European packaging is also a little more generalized with their claims, which makes sense why these are worded so slightly differently on the face of these different washes. Maybe there's a little bit of legality going on here to where when it's phrased slightly differently, they don't have to necessarily back with as much data and research. As a side note, this is why I really do love personally buying brands that are made and formulated in Europe and only there. Like there's a brand that I love called Typology. They are from France. France has those stricter standards. You know what you're getting. Honestly, that's a huge perk. All of this does make sense from a profitability, financial, legal, distribution, ease perspective. Why Americans can't always just have the European formulation. I still don't know why I jumped through hoops and hurdles to try to get some European formulated things and still somehow ended up with the exact same formulation that I just got from Sephora.com. Maybe someone can chime in the comments. Maybe you are, I don't know, a chemist or high up in the beauty industry and are aware of these types of things and could tell me why that happened. Maybe you work for looksfantastic.com and can personally explain to me what happened here, because that part of the mystery has not been solved. Well, Max, This investigation took us on some twists and turns that I truly did not see coming, but I suppose that's what happens in the life of crime. We walked away with some answers and in other ways even more questions than when we began. But nevertheless, I feel like I learned something and I'm so excited for our next investigation. I have one idea, and that is investigating Postmates ghost kitchens. But I would very much love any of your ideas on what you would like for Max and I to investigate next.
We're gonna give it our best go. We're gonna give it our best go.
We love you guys. We hope you have the best rest of your day. We'll see you in another mystery very soon. Bye.